looking at what that goal would look like, right? What environments can you go into where you would feel supported? Not only in the messages that you're explicitly getting, but in the subconscious ones. Those ones are even more important.
How are you showing up? How are you feeling? How are you experiencing the world because of these environments that you're in? And it's not just physical, right? It's physical environments, mental, emotional, spiritual, digital. Hey everybody, this is Bianca.
And this is Emilia.
And welcome to another episode of Evolve Ventures, where we are making evolution possible for growth-minded humans, just like every single one of you who tune in every single week through vulnerable lessons, stories, and technology. So for today, episode number 158. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're that deep into this show. It's incredible.
Goodness. Yeah.
It's incredible, honestly. Ooh, mama, is your environment helping you or hurting you? So, where did I get this episode from? So, for all of you who have been listening to this show, I've been talking a lot about my clients lately because that really takes up the majority of my day, right? Or the majority of my week. So, I see anywhere from 20 to 35 clients a week. Just doing one-on-one coaching. And that's not including, everything that I do for Evolve and all of the behind the scenes stuff that Emilia and I do. And then on top of that, just my own personal life, right? It's been magical getting to be here and do all of this. But so the majority of my stories have lately been coming from clients because I spend the most time with them. And with that, I've been noticing just a lot of trends and a lot of behaviors and a lot of, similarities between a lot of my clients. And one of them is something that they don't ever really realize. And what I've noticed is that most people don't really realize or acknowledge or pay attention to, which is the impact that your environment, whether it's just one of them or all of them, really makes on your life. So I have this client, and her life, we've done a lot of really amazing work with her. She was severely depressed, PTSD, going through a lot of these things. And we've been able to really help her on all of these different areas of her life. So the majority of the different areas of her life have been going really well. But there was one area that was causing a lot of tension and a lot of harm. And it was her job. So she worked this job that was making her very unhappy. She had a couple incidences happen, and the managers and the supervisors kind of brushed it under the rug and didn't really help her, didn't do anything about it. Yeah. And so she felt this really deep sense of not belonging, not feeling cared for, not feeling seen. And it started impacting her work because it was just such a toxic environment for her. And meanwhile, all of the other areas of her life are going really well. She's making progress. She's growing. She's working through traumas. She's doing all of these amazing things. But there's still this one area that, it progressively had gotten worse over time to the point where it actually started completely eroding all of the progress that we had made. And she would come to sessions and she's like, I can't do this. She's like, I gotta be honest with you. My depression is back. I hate waking up in the morning. I stopped doing all of the things that we had me doing because the thought of going into this place every single day, she was really vulnerable with me. And she said, it's gotten so bad that it's making me think about hurting myself. And I was like, oh my God, it was heartbreaking, but it really brought me back to times in my life where, I had gone through that too. Yeah. Where living at home with my family, who I love dearly and they're good people, but it was just back then, it just wasn't a great environment. Or being around certain people or having certain friends or being in certain relationships or my experiences at certain jobs, we don't realize the significance and the impact that one bad environment can have on every other aspect of our lives. Actually, I was just going through my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I'm like cleaning it up and whatnot after like a call that Alan and I just had. Yeah. So I'm going through it and I'm combing through it. And it started getting to images and videos and pictures of me from 2021 when I was in my last relationship. And I was just looking at myself and I didn't even recognize myself. It was like scary. I was just looking at like how I was showing up on the mic, like my appearance, you could just tell like the energy in my face. Like I looked drained. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, because I'm looking at it from like an outside perspective now. And I was like angry. Oh, I'm like, who the hell let me look like that? First of all. Second of all, I don't even recognize this person because I completely neglected myself. I completely neglected my boundaries and my values and my characteristics that I had spent time developing because of one bad environment that I was in that relationship. So my intention, my hope in this episode is for all of you to really, really start paying attention to the environments that you're in. How are they impacting you? How are you showing up? How are you feeling? How are you experiencing the world because of these environments that you're in? And it's not just physical, right? It's physical environments, mental, emotional, spiritual, digital. And I know Emilia has so much information on all of those that I'm excited for her to dive into. But really start paying attention to the rooms, the people, places, and things that you're involved in. Because I guarantee they're making a greater impact on you than you realize.
And likewise, what environments are you fearing or trying to avoid? So like, for example, this is talking about environments is like one of my favorite things because I've done so much research and I've grown up so much understanding this at a deeper level than statistically, I would say a large population, a large majority. So to that extent, why I think that that's so exciting is because like you as a listener get to benefit from years of that research and being able to bring it into your story, right? So one of the things to be able to have all of you really answer this question for yourself, is your environment helping or hurting you, right? We want to be able to answer that with certainty. And I think that you can't really begin to answer that from my perspective and from my research unless you have a keen sense of clarity on your goals. At least at the very high level, like I'm all for breaking goals down, getting them smart, really like reverse engineering the finish line. But I just want to like try this on for any of you. Like if you don't have a goal to be the best version of yourself, let's just say that you would have no reason. There would literally, when you think about it from a utility standpoint, there'd be no reason for you to even answer this question. There'd be no why power underneath. If you look at environments from an analytical standpoint to see how is it serving you or how is it really hurting you, right? So I want to start there. So number one, I want you to think about just try on this goal with me, right? I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the most evolved version of myself, all right? I want to be equates to a goal. I want all of our listeners to have that and to feel that sense of empowerment when you listen to this show, at the very least, okay? So it's just like trying on a dress or trying on a new pair of pants, a new t-shirt, whatever, socks. If you're that kind of person, try it on with me, all right?
Try on socks?
We try on socks. Well, no, I definitely don't.
Like,
but
you sure?
If you're that kind of person, like whatever, I support you. Just so long as your feet aren't as crusty as mine right now, with like one toenail missing. But anyways, all right. So we're here. All right. Bianca's gonna die at that. As a matter of fact, anyone, quick foot update. My toenail has been growing back since the hike. So like, okay, all right. Weirdo, insert Foot into mouth. Okay. All right. So we have this goal, right? To be the best version of ourselves. High level. Cool. Awesome. Just like I was on a coaching call recently, and this woman, she wants to be like the most unburdened version of herself, right? Break the cycles, break the toxicity that exists in her life. That's reasonable. We're all deserving of that. I do believe that, right? Break the cycles that are holding you and hurting you back. But now that you have that goal and you're trying it on with us, right? You have to look around and say, what is helping me do that? What is helping me to achieve that? What is helping me get closer? Who and where and what is supporting that? And likely just as important, who, what, where, and what is not supporting that? How is it hurting you? What happens and why we really don't look at this and analyze our environments is because we actually have to realize at one point or another, and I'll save you guys from the ending, or I'll just, it is what it is. You have to realize what isn't supporting you is oftentimes the environments that you have been conditioned to love the most. And the environments that you've been conditioned to feel the most comfort in, and the environments that you feel the most, quote unquote, yourself with. What you begin to realize is that there's some environments that you might feel like it's normal, or that it's good for you, or that it's supporting you, right? Becoming this best version of yourself. And then you run into this distortion field that you bump into, where it's like, well, wait a second, if I were to look at this objectively, right, trying to be the best version of me that I can be, right? Say, for example, that means for you, quit drinking, right? Quit drinking. You go into environments, right? For example, maybe your family home, or you go into your friend's house, or maybe you go into all of these different environments that when you start looking around, you're trying to keep this best version of you front and center, but then all of a sudden your environment has bottles of alcohol all around it, right? Encouraging you to drink. You have people saying and giving you messages that like, oh, good on you. I could never do that, right? Something like that is actually hurting your probability of achieving your goal, because why? You're going to feel that sense of belonging so hard. And you're going to realize that in order for you to continue to go into this environment, either one, you have to develop a shield that is like impermeable, which is so hard to do. Or number two, you're going to have to
not realistic.
And not realistic. Yeah, let's be real. Or number two, you're going to have to change the way in which you show up in this environment. Either you drink or you don't go, right? It's very similar to, well, I don't even want to use that. But yeah, so at a high level, being analytical of those environments will help you realize what's benefiting you and what's not, what's hurting you. And I think that, to try that one example on, that one goal, when you try that on, you look around and you see, okay, maybe this isn't supporting me. Then what? What happens next? And so to answer this question for each one of you, I want you looking at what that goal would look like, right? What environments can you go into where you would feel supported? Not only in the messages that you're explicitly getting, but in the subconscious ones. Those ones are even more important. I don't drink alcohol, and I chose not to drink alcohol, right? And if you were to look at any point in my environment, which I spend the most time in, right? My home, no subconscious triggers. No bottle sitting around, none of them being used as plant holders like I used to when I traveled abroad in London, right? Used to have beer bottles holding my flowers, like none of that stuff.
Oh,
why?
wow.
Because my goal is very different now, and I need to cultivate. I've taken a level of ownership to cultivate my environment to support my success, to support my goals. Right? When I'm going out into environments that I don't really have control to navigate, right? Like for example, a family's house. I understand in advance that the more time I spend when people are drinking, that will actually hurt me in the smallest subconscious of ways. And I can still choose to go into those, right? Just like all of us, we can still choose to live our lives, but do not underestimate the power of how much your environment either helps you or hurts you.
Well said, my friend. Episode suggestion?
My episode suggestion will jump off this conversation because it's not just the environment. Looking at it, you might be just thinking about it like the room or the house or the structural place that you walk into. I want you also thinking about what we mentioned in this episode, the who. Who are you letting into your space? Episode 132 is that episode. I want you thinking about the who as an environment. Every single person that you talk to is an environment of themselves, right? Of the thoughts that they have, of the beliefs that they share, the values that they hold. They are an environment and they are rubbing off on you, whether you like it or not, whether you choose to acknowledge that or not. And so I think to continue this conversation for yourself, to empower you, to help you evolve, I think that that's an absolute essential episode for you. B, what about yours?
34, why your environment predicts your success. Also, I just want to touch upon this too. This isn't to say that, because I've had a lot of people actually say this to me too. They're like, well, I'm afraid to go on this personal development journey because I don't want to have to get rid of every single person in my life. And that's not, I hope that's not what it seems like we're saying in this, right? So like, just really quickly, I just want to say this. Like, I'll use my family as an example.
Yeah.
I adore my family. I actually have a much better relationship with them now than I ever have. And the reason being is because I removed myself out of the environment and then I started working on it, working on myself and working on my relationship with them so that I can be there in a much better way, right? This isn't to say you have to get rid of everybody, but this is to say, you know, the things that you can eliminate out of your life, it might be worth it to do it. And the things that you can't, how can you work on it? How can you evolve it? How can you transform it? You know, how can you show up the best way that you can be in those environments and with those people and in those places? You know, it's not just about, well, everything is toxic, get rid of everything, right? That's not realistic at all.
Deep clean.
Yeah, but the things that you can get rid of it. Like this client in that job, she left that job. Awesome. Now she found a new one that's more aligned for her. She feels good being there. Awesome. The things you can't get rid of, how can you work to transform it? How can you work to make it more aligned? I just wanted to make sure that we said that too.
I'm glad that you did, because I agree. I think that a lot of people never embark upon the open-minded journey, the growth-oriented journey, the personal development journey, because they believe that they understand that it's not so personal. They realize that it actually impacts everyone around them. And the anxiety, the fear that comes up is, well, what does that change? What do I have to change? Well, in many ways, lots of things, if not everything, changes when you change, right? Because you are the center of that web. But like in many ways, you don't have to cut out things, right? Like that's in many ways been a choice as a byproduct of this journey for many people, because they've realized many of the benefits. But just as equally, there have been so many people that have come out of the growth journey and really realized, like, even more to your point, how important this component, like their connection to their family, their friends, how important that is for them. But yet the way in which it's existing, the relationship is not serving them now. So let's evolve that. What can we do to evolve that? And actually really empower them even more to create that space to evolve. So I think it's really exciting. So glad you said that, B.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Thank you to everyone. Oh my God. Thank you to everybody for being here, for listening, for hearing me die at the end of this. It's been a great journey. We'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.